are here again at Silicon Valley Comic-Con, and I am joined by
Keith Arem.
And what do you do?
I'm the director of the Phoenix Incident. It's coming out in theaters.
Awesome. And so we actually got to see a screening of this just a few days ago, and it's awesome. It's thrilling, it's sci-fi awesomeness, it's really cool. There's a lot of twists and turns, and you don't exactly know what's real and what's not. So just to get into it a little bit, can you explain just briefly the premise really quick for us?
Yeah, so the idea is this is the largest UFO military cover-up in U.S. history, and it's based on the Phoenix Lights that actually happened in March of '97.
Right. Awesome. And so what drew you to this incident to make you want to produce this film, or to direct and write this film?
There was a number of things. I grew up in Arizona, and this was not only the largest sighting in Arizona history, but in the whole United States. And 30,000 people witnessed this event of this group of lights that flew over the state and it went over the city, and they scrambled jets to intercept these things. And the military finally came out and said that these were illumination flares, but 30,000 people said they saw a spacecraft or a fleet of spaceships. And so our film starts to take this investigation of these missing men that disappeared the night of the Phoenix Lights and exposes this cover-up that these guys may have been collateral damage as part of a military operation to cover up this military exchange where we may have engaged actual UFOs. So the film takes this sort of documentary thriller approach where it starts off as an investigation and then it goes into the actual mystery of what happened.
One thing I really loved about the movie is it does a really good job of interweaving the what is real, did you produce for the film, and there's a lot of actual clips from that actually happened in there, and then there's all the stuff that you shot as well. And then there's a lot that is not included in the film you were telling us about. So tell us a little bit of how that viral marketing campaign came to be and the process of making it.
Well, there were so many conspiracy theories that had happened around this. There was the Hale-Bopp comet that was coming through, and people saw this shadow that was trailing the comet behind that. So there was all these interesting stories about what may have been happening. And then the Heaven's Gate cult that was involved in this idea that the aliens were coming to take them off the planet. They all committed suicide. Some of the pilots that were involved in the cover-up also committed suicide. So I wanted to tell all these different stories, and it was much too big to tell in a film, much less as a first-time film director.
Right.
So we started to shoot all this additional footage that was part of the story and weave it online. So we created this massive viral campaign where you get these different threads of these missing persons cases, or these UFO sightings, or this military cover-up, or this cult involvement. And we started seeding that, and that became almost bigger than the film itself, because the film is a theatrical film. You can watch it in the theater or you can watch it online. But this is something where the story really gets you into the backstory and the actual case that was there. And that for me was very inspiring, because then the audience could get very interested into the actual events that took place.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so you have a background in video games. We have a big gaming audience, and in this film you actually have Troy Baker and Yuri. What was your experience working with them on this film, and where did you come in contact with them to begin with?
So I started working with all of my cast years ago, and I have had the honor to work on Call of Duty and Prince of Persia and all these fantastic video games, and these were my strongest actors. These are the guys who play all the leads that I've been bringing into these games for a decade. And I really, as a first-time director, I knew I was going to be fighting the elements, I was going to be fighting all the things that you hear about directors learning to do on set, and I needed a cast that I could really trust. And not only did I want really great actors, but they also have a great bond and relationship between themselves. So these characters in the movie were already based on who I knew they were, and we went out to the desert 2 years before we started production, and we went out and shot a little 20-minute film that was just them based around their characters in the actual sighting location where it took place. And we came up with the basis of who their characters were, how they would interact, and some of that footage actually made its way into the motion picture. It was so compelling, and that was really the basis of how we started to do this. And I knew I could lean on them to be great performances, and also just guys that you can really relate to.
Yeah.
So when you see them, that is them. They're personification of who they are in a much more interesting environment. And that was how we really started this. And from day one, I knew this was my cast. I wrote the characters around them, and it's neat to see it on screen now, because when I see them, I know that's really who they are, and it's great for the audience to see that too, because they see them in Call of Duty or Halo, and they never get to see this side of them.
Yeah, and even knowing a little bit about like Troy Baker as a musician in real life, and you have that little kind of subplot about he's not pursuing his rock star dream and things like that. So that was really cool to see too.
And there's a viral campaign because he does a song in the movie. He performs on stage, and there's a whole backstory just to that side of things. So we allude to it in the movie, but for people who know about that, if you go online and you find the whole record of Ryan Stone that never happened, it's a really interesting story. And those are all little like Easter eggs that you'll see in the movie that the audience, especially the gaming audience, will appreciate.
Awesome. So this is coming out April 8th on VOD and in theaters?
And in theaters, yeah. We just did a 200 theater run with Fathom Events 2 weeks ago, and we've been in festivals, and we've been fortunate enough to win a lot of awards right now in the festival circuit, but now we're coming out wide, and so we're going to be in theaters nationwide and on video on demand, iTunes, and all sorts of digital platforms, and then the viral campaign will continue to go as well. So it's a new way to kind of experience our movie.
Awesome. And where can we find the material for the viral campaign?
So there's a lot of sites, and we kind of made it as a scavenger hunt. There's a couple ones that you should check out, so you can look at MaricopaMissing.com, there's AmericanCrimes.tv, and there's one called KWBV News that you should check into. And those will be some of the first inroads into the story, but there's about 24 out there now that you can find.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I know our audience would be really excited to get into that. We'll be including some of those links in the description as well, so you can get to them very easily. Thank you so much for being here with us. It was really great talking to you. Great being able to see the movie the last couple days. Go see it. It's really fun, really thrilling, really cool. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much again.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. Awesome. Take care.